I see you have your cup of coffee, right? That's necessary for conversations like this. welcome, welcome to the Crucible, Jesse. You
Yeah.
are the host of a very popular talk show. This is the Fallen State, I believe. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Flawless State and Jessie Peterson radio show.
We recently have this Roe v. Wade decision that it looks like it's coming out. It's a lot of hope. It's more hope than I've ever had in my lifetime. That we're finally going to see an end to this abortion madness that's going to roll back to the states. That seems to me to be probably one of the best things that could possibly happen in my lifetime period. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it, on this Roe v. Wade decision. Do you think that the Democrats are going to have every dirty, filthy trick up their sleeve to try to stop it?
Absolutely. And it should have never gone to the U.S. Supreme Court anyway, because there's nothing in the Constitution about abortion that says that a woman can have an abortion and all that. It should have always stayed as a state issue and not a federal issue in the way that they made it. Um, I think the Democrats are going to, and we still don't know exactly what's going to happen. We won't know for sure until June what the decision is, but it sounds like they will at least ban it federally, which would be good. But the Democrats are going to use this as a means to try to keep control come November. They have made it into a political issue because they have done just a horrible job for our country over the last year or so. And they know that the people are unhappy. And so they're going to use it to rally the voters because they already know that in states where liberals are in control, abortion will still be easy for anyone who wants it. And so they know that already. I saw Elizabeth Warren acting as though she was so mad. I'm just so mad. It was so bad. It was an act in order to fire up the Democrat voters to get them out come November.
Yeah, I think that that's the correct take. The purpose of this leak seems to have been to sow as much discord as possible,
Yeah,
as fast as possible.
yeah,
We saw that there's already rioting in the streets. Over the ability to kill children, right? They're
yeah.
rioting in the streets over this. And we're seeing it. I think that we're going to see more nationwide protests before this is said and done.
Oh
And
yeah,
that it's probably going to end up with similar levels of violence like we saw during the BLM.
yeah.
What's your take on that?
Well, I think so. I think you're right about that. It's going to get worse before it get better. We haven't seen anything between now and November. The Black Lives Matter insurrection upon America will look like a holiday uh, because the Democrats are desperate and they are desperate for perceived power and wealth. And the right-o Republicans are no different than the Democrat. And we now have a one-party system. And so there's nothing to stop them at this point, the Democrat. But what I think is even worse is what they have done to the country overall. We have to remember that our country was founded by white, conservative, straight men, Christian men, and they, with the help of God, they were able to build the greatest country on this side of heaven, one like never before. And they created a constitution that was amazing, and these men made it possible for all of us to be here, to live freely, to do what we want, however we want. And the Democrats, the liberal whites, and the liberal blacks, they hate that because they hate the white man. They hate everything that he stands for. They are jealous of the white man. They're envious of the white man, and they want to destroy him rather than appreciating the gift and building on it. The anger that they have, the jealousy won't let them see and appreciate our country in the way it should be. So when I saw, and I've been saying for years that the civil rights movement was a big mistake one of the worst things that ever happened to Black people was the civil rights movement, because prior to the civil rights movement, when I was growing up, and I grew up during the so-called Jim Crow laws, Black Americans were about God, family, and country for the most part. They did not hate the white man. They did not blame white people for everything. They knew that there were decent whites and bad whites, decent Blacks and bad Blacks. They knew that our battle was a spiritual battle. It has nothing to do with color. You're either on the side of Satan, the devil, or you're on the side of God. And that was understood then. But when the civil rights movement came along, they stole all those ideas away from most of the Blacks and told them that they needed a leader, that the white man is against you, and we want to be your leader. Jesse Jackson, Louis Farrakhan, and all those crappy people. And so the Blacks sold their soul over to the leaders, and then the so-called civil rights leaders sold the Blacks over to the Democratic Party for $1 bill. They told the Blacks, if you get rid of the man out of the home, we'll give you a welfare check. And the government will take care of you, and we'll do your thinking for you. And ever since that time, it's just been downhill for the Blacks. They have not recovered. They have only gotten worse.
Well, the population currently has stayed stagnant for most of my lifetime, right around 13% or so. You're talking about abortion rates that I've seen the numbers somewhere between 3 to 5 times higher, depending on which place you're looking and which source you're looking at. Surely this has to be a boon for the Black community, being able to eliminate the Roe v. Wade laws. Do you think that we'll finally see a population increase of Black America?
I doubt it. It might happen, but I doubt it, because Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, the woman that wanted to get rid of the Blacks by way of abortion, she said too many of them were being born in the South at the time. And so she created this whole abortion thing to get rid of them. And what she cleverly did in a wicked way is she gave the Black leadership, and I believe it was Martin Luther King, the first one, she gave him an award, made him feel good about being wrong. And so they fell for that. And then they've been receiving money from, Planned Parenthood and other organizations. And unless the Blacks start to think for themselves, they're only going to get worse, because they've been so dumbed down. And as a result, our country has been so dumbed down, the standards have been lowered. Unless the Blacks start thinking for themselves, it's only going to get worse and not better. And I was about to say, even worse than this thing that's been released from the U.S. Supreme Court, the Blacks were already destroying America. They went around this insurrection by the far left, liberal, radical, fat, Black, lesbian, Black Lives Matter, worse than the KKK. They destroyed monuments and flags and statues and amazing things that remind us of what the white men went through to build this country. They destroyed all that and replaced it with nothing. A statue of a Black drug addict, unemployed drug addict with a criminal record, George Floyd. And so they're destroying the greatness and replacing it with nothing. And that's what's happening with the Supreme Court now. They just nominated a Black woman for the U.S. Supreme Court that wasn't qualified. She's not qualified at all, except to be Black and radical. And they're going to keep doing that. I mean, with this leak and everything going on, it's just going to get worse. They want to pack the courts. And right now, there is nothing to stop them from doing what they're doing to this great country. And it's just going to get worse. I just don't see it getting better anytime soon.
Well, it's interesting that you bring some of these points up. We're going to get a book out to you called Occult Feminism by Rachel Wilson. I think that I'll illuminate some of those things you were talking about with Margaret Sanger, including how many letters she claimed that she got, which were fraudulent. I think you'll find that very interesting.
I bet those glasses make you see better.